The Holy Gospel according to Luke, the 10th chapter.
Glory to you, O Lord.
Now as Jesus and his disciples went on their way, he entered a certain village where a woman named Martha welcomed him into her home. She had a sister named Mary who sat at the Lord's feet and listened to what he was saying. But Martha was distracted by her many tasks. So she came to Jesus and asked, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work myself? Tell her then to help me." But the Lord answered her, "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken from her." The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
So in this morning's gospel lesson, we hear, can you all hear me okay? Is this, okay. Anyway, so we were hearing about, are you all hot? I am hot. See, you're cold. See, this is a weird thing. The people on the outside are cold. The people on the inside are hot. The people up here are blazing. Never mind. Okay. Our gospel lesson, did I announce the undies thing? Okay, I would be in big trouble if I didn't. I just wanted to... Have you ever been in the middle of something and remembered something immediately? I need a pencil to write something down. See, you're not the only one who gets distracted. A squirrel! Okay. Lord, do you not care that I'm up here doing all this work and these people are just sitting there looking at me? Tell them to do something. And then we hear it, right? Stephen, 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 you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. But don't you see what's happening, Lord? There is need of only one thing. Can you imagine this scene that took place in front of Jesus that evening in Mary and Martha's house? I know I could because I'm one who gets easily distracted. I'm a busybody who can't sit still for very long unless it's in front of my phone scrolling through pages of nothing important for hours on end. My to-do list is always growing instead of shrinking. I want things to happen exactly as I envision them. My chores are never ending, and my biggest hobby is collecting other hobbies. Lord, do you not care that I have all this stuff to do? So I say this to try and explain what it's like, because I know none of you are as distracted as I am, nor do you have as many things on your plate, nor do you try to accomplish as much as, oh, who's kidding who? Right? We've all heard this story. We all deeply understand this story. We all have lived this story. We all have daily instances where we are driven and running in different directions. We've all been worried and distracted by many things. We've all looked at someone else and thought that they weren't doing the right thing. And speaking of that, to dig into another aspect of this story, anyone who has a sibling certainly has had a disagreement at some point, or an argument, or even an outright fight about what the other person should be doing, right? Isn't it interesting that some of the biggest fights in the Bible happen between siblings? Cain and Abel were the first siblings of the Bible, and what happened there? Cain murdered Abel. I think a lot of us want to feel like that sometimes, but Jacob stole the birthright blessing from his brother Esau. Joseph's brothers were so annoyed by him that they sold him into slavery. David didn't make his brothers happy when he, as the youngest, got to be the one anointed. Even into the New Testament, Jesus tells a parable of the prodigal son who, when he returned, made his brother none too happy when the father threw a party for the one who had squandered all the property. And then when Jesus' mom and siblings showed up to hear him preach once, Jesus said to the crowds, "Who is my mother? Who are my brothers? Whoever does the will of God is my brother or sister or mother." I wonder if Jesus turned to them as they stood in the doorway and went, "Heh." I mean, is the Bible trying to make a statement about siblings? Or have siblings simply been at each other's throats since the beginning of time? I wonder if the reason for all of this fighting is because since we know our siblings so well, we know what they're capable of, and we know when they aren't reaching their full potential. Or maybe that's giving too much credit for two people who are simply annoyed with each other. But Jesus is showing us that it is nearly impossible to serve Jesus while fighting with a sister or a brother, or really fighting with anyone for that matter. But there Mary and Martha were, bickering, fighting, going different directions, not agreeing on priorities. And Martha's had enough. She just says, "Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to do all the work by myself? Tell her to help me." I mean, it's a laughable moment, right? Jesus could have laughed at her, and thinking about the way we would have responded in that moment, Jesus should have laughed at her. And really, he should have shamed her for even asking him to do such a trivial task and to get involved in such a way. But does he? No. Instead, Jesus comforts Martha. He refocuses her on what's important, and then he calls her by name. "Martha, Martha, you are worried and distracted by many things. There is need of only one thing. Mary has chosen the better part, which will not be taken away from her." With gentleness and kindness and compassion, Jesus gives this new life to Martha. And in one way, this is Jesus giving Martha some freedom and some agency in her life. Maybe she feels stuck because her culture is telling her to get into the kitchen and take care of the house and feed the guests and show hospitality to the stranger. I mean, we hear that very same thing happen this morning in our first reading, where Abraham has Sarah prepare a meal for these unexpected guests. Hospitality is great and all. Jesus even demands it, but sometimes we simply consume ourselves with it. The thing I need to remind myself of every time I hear this story, that Jesus isn't critiquing Martha for being a busybody, for being always on the go or trying to accomplish thing after thing after thing. I mean, that's a whole sermon for another day, probably around Sabbath and rest. But no, this morning, Jesus doesn't tell Martha that she's too busy. He says that she's worried and distracted by many things. Worried and distracted. If we look closely at those words that Jesus has used, we get some deeper meaning. The root of the word worried that Jesus uses here means to be strangled or seized by the throat. You know, all your focus is drawn to this one singular thing. It's a good thing none of us worry about anything. And then the root of the word distracted that Jesus uses here means something that is separated, or the dragging apart of something that should be whole. You know, by focusing on the household chores that she feels that need to be done, Martha's focus isn't wholly on Jesus and his presence. This wholeness is torn apart. How dare she be so worried and distracted when Jesus is right there? How dare she think about all these tasks that need to be done? How dare she think she needs to be doing something rather than sitting at the feet of Jesus? I'm sure it has nothing to do with all the things we've been hearing Jesus teach and lead and show his disciples up to this visit, right? I mean, maybe you've forgotten what we've been hearing over the past few weeks, but Jesus has been giving us a lot to do. In the past few Gospels, over the past few weeks, Jesus has said things like, "Go and declare how much God has done for you. Go and prepare my way, and then come and follow me. Go and be a laborer in my harvest, but don't take anything you need. Rely on the hospitality of others. Just go and do all these things that I'm commanding you." Right? Jesus has been preparing and equipping his disciples, his followers, to go out and do the work. And Jesus is constantly showing us this different way to live, this different way to be in the world. So honestly, it's no wonder that Martha and all of us are so worried and distracted when Jesus comes around. But then there's this other way that this story is showing us. Shows us why we're called to live in such a different way. And how that different way comes about. And how is it that we heard? It comes about by sitting at the Lord's feet and listening to what he's saying. I would give just about anything to know what Jesus was saying to Mary in this instant. Right? Was it just Jesus and Mary and Martha in this house? Was it just Mary sitting with Jesus and the two of them talking together? Or had the disciples that were with him followed him into the house to join him for the meal? Or had others heard that Jesus was around and they all showed up at the house too, sending Martha into this frenzy to try to find more food or stretch what she already had? We don't know. We're not told. Luke doesn't give any more detail than to say that Mary listened to what Jesus was saying. And yet, according to Jesus, that was the better part, which will never be taken away from her. What? I mean, what is the better part? Maybe the better part is a wholehearted surrender to the one who is holy. An understanding that every action, every decision, every priority, every life choice should and will be filtered through the love and devotion and generosity of our God. Everything that we do must begin with Jesus. Everything that we do must begin at Jesus' feet. Listening, trusting, loving. For centuries, Christians have divided themselves into Marys and Marthas. But I think that misses the foundational point of this story. Instead of doing that, we should divide our actions into the ones that we're doing because we've sat at Jesus' feet, or the ones that have nothing to do with Jesus. So I wonder, in the craziness of this world and in the craziness of our lives, how can we set aside our busyness, our worriedness, our distractedness, and simply rest in God's presence? Sit at Jesus' feet and listen to what the Holy has to say to us. Amen.